Hi everyone. In this recording, we're going to talk about assignment Dropbox settings. So first of all, we need to go into an assignment. You can access assignments by either going to this assignment link and finding an assignment, or if you already have an assignment, you can go over to your modules and access it through there. Remember, an assignment is something that you want students to submit in Canvas, so it could be a paper, it could be a just text typed in, it could be a link to an outside resource, it could be a lot of different things, but it's something like that that you want students to turn in that you don't necessarily want them to show to the rest of the class. If you were doing that, it would be a discussion. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and go to modules. And you can see I've got an example assignment. You can tell an assignment because it's got a little, looks like a piece of paper with a letter A. But for this one, I'm going to actually create a new assignment. So I'm going to put a new assignment in this module by clicking the plus button. I do want to add an assignment. It's going to be a new assignment. If it's already created, you can select it here. I'm going to call the assignment name is going to be new assignment. I know, real creative, but we're going to go ahead and add the item. Once you add it, you can see it shows up right down there. Then to edit it, we're going to go ahead and click on it. Now this is just the basic assignment. Nothing's been done to it, and what we need to do is then click this edit button in the upper right hand corner, and we can now edit this. So first of all, we can change the title, but I'm going to leave it as it is. We can then add directions to assignment right here. Ooh, here. Along with the directions to the assignment, you could also add, like, if you want them to have to read something. So read this article first. And so then you could come over to your files and then either upload a new file, or if it's already uploaded, and I'll just go ahead and select this one. So read this article first, and then answer these two questions on for a 2-page paper. There we go. Okay, so not really, but you can kind of get it. You can also bold, italics, use this rich text editor to even add a video if you wanted. You could record, upload media, embed an image, do anything like that. So that's just the very top part. You would next come in, and we're going to say this is worth 25 points. Now your assignment group is really important. You're not going to have the same assignment groups as I will because this is based off of how you set up your original assignment groups. That's like your gradebook setup in Canvas. So you should already have this set up. So you would just come down here and these would be your assignment groups from that assignment link. And I'm going to say that this is, we'll leave it as concepts. Then you get to choose how you want to display the grades, and you could do points, percentage, letter grade. I personally like points, so I'm going to go ahead and just do points, but you could choose which of these you'd like to do. Then submission type. So this is really important. The default right here for the submission type is no submission. So that means the students aren't turning anything in. Yet the purpose of what we're doing is for the students to be able to turn something in. So you need to change this to whether it's going to be an online, on paper, or an external tool. In most cases, it's going to be an online submission. Once you select that online submission option, you can then choose whether you want them to be able to do a text entry. Now, text entry is where they just type directly into Canvas. A website URL, so this is where the students will literally say, here's the URL to my blog, my website, whatever it is you might want them, your Google Doc, whatever it is you want them to be able to turn into you. A media recording, if you only want them to be able to record something in Canvas and turn it in, or file uploads. In general, most people are going to have file uploads or text entry, but you could use any of them. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, though, if you don't check the box, students will not have that option. So if you don't want students to be able to type in something to Canvas, don't check that box because they will be able to. So like if you have this one and this one checked, students will type stuff in or copy and paste stuff in. So I'm going to choose file uploads. You can also restrict file upload types. So you can go in and say that I only want DOC and DOCX type of files. So this means those are the only types of files students can upload. The reason that a lot of faculty do use just those two file types is that those are the ones that work with Crocodoc. If the student turns it in as a different type of file, It won't work in Crocodoc, and a lot of faculty really like it when they get to grade using Crocodoc because it's awesome. So you can consider that. Otherwise, you can just take that restriction off, which I'll take that off for now. You can also choose whether or not this is a group assignment. So if you check group assignment, you can assign grades to each student individually. You can set which groups. So that's, you would already have to have your group set, or you can have a new group category there. But we'll go into that. That's kind of a whole different video. So see further in the training for more information about group. But for now, I'm not going to do that. You can also require peer reviews. This is a pretty awesome feature in Canvas. I know a lot of our English faculty and even some of our other faculty, in fact, the faculty member who teaches this class does use the peer review feature here and there. So you can either manually assign peers or you can automatically. There's pros and cons to both, but once again, that's a different training. I just want to make sure you can see that that's the option. And then the last thing here is your due dates. So right now the default is just everyone, and you can set, when you want the students to have this due. So I'm going to pretend that I want it done by next Friday, and I want it to open on the 2nd. Now the difference here, the due date is when it's going to show up on the calendar and on the modules page of when the assignment is due. Yet it doesn't actually close the assignment to students. So if students try to turn something in after this due date, they will be able to turn it in after the due date unless you have the until date set. So the until date is kind of the hard and fast. You can't turn things in after that until date. So if you really don't want students to ever be able to submit anything after June 6th, you would come over here and you would also set this to June 6th. So that literally means this closes to students. Students cannot submit anything past June 6th. In most cases, what I've seen that works best with faculty and what faculty seem to prefer is either giving students a grace period, so maybe a week or 2-week grace period. What will happen then is if students submit after this due date, as long as it's before June 20th, they can do it, but it will show up and be marked as late in Canvas, and then you can take points off or do whatever you want. Another thing some faculty will do is just take off the until date completely. So that way the students can turn it in after June 6th. The instructor can then choose whether or not to take points off, to just not grade it completely, but at least then you're not getting a bunch of emails saying, I want to submit it, or can I please submit it? And then you have to come back in and open something back up, and it just kind of turns into something annoying, and then you don't have to mess with it. But it's completely up to you. The big thing is the due date is mostly for the calendar and for the modules to show students this is when it's due. It does not stop students from submitting after the due date. To stop students from submitting, you have to use the until date. Now that available from date is when students can start submitting. So if you don't care when students start submitting the assignment, you can actually take that one off as well, which means as soon as students have access to this assignment, so whether it's in a module that opens at a certain time or whether it's just wide open, this means students can submit at any point as long as it's due at this date. So I hope that helps kind of explain the due dates. Another thing that's really cool is that in this particular course, we've got 2 different course sections. Not all courses are set up that way, but if you do have multiple sections combined into one course, you can set your due dates by section. Now that's in a different training video that I kind of already discussed, but I want to make sure that you do see that you can set due dates by section by doing that, then adding another due date, and setting it to, instead of June 6th, we want to set it to, let's say, the 5th. So maybe this is a Monday, 01 is the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 02 is the Tuesday, Thursday section. So you can set different due dates by section. You can also grade by section and enter attendance by section. So this is actually pretty powerful if you want to use this and if you have 2 sections combined into one course. For right now, I'm just going to get rid of that though, set this to everyone, and click Update Assignment. So you've now created an assignment, you've got your information, you've got your file upload. 2 more things that you need to make sure you consider. The first one is, if you want students to be able to access this, you have to publish it. Right now, when you see it's gray, it's not green, that means students cannot access it. So even though there's no available from date, which means it should be wide open to students, until you click this publish button, it is not available to students. You have to publish this. When you see the green publish, you're good to go. Students can now access it. If you want to turn it back off, all you have to do is click it again and it goes back that way to your, so it's not published anymore. But if students have already started submitting to this assignment, you can't take it back. So once students start submitting, you can't unpublish something. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and publish it. One other thing you may want to do is add a rubric. To add a rubric to assignment, you just come down here kind of towards the bottom left and click Add Rubric. You can then go ahead and create your rubric right here. If you've already created the rubric in a previous assignment or under Outcomes, which is where you actually can create rubrics and where rubrics are kind of held, you can also go over and find a rubric. So for right now, I'm not going to add a new rubric that I create myself. What I'm going to do is click Find a Rubric. And what it's going to do is load all the different rubrics that you've used in this course. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and do hypothesis tests and scroll down and click Use this rubric. So now I have a rubric that goes along with my assignment. Students will be able to see the rubric and see how it's graded and what they need to do. And you're set to go. So I hope this was a pretty thorough explanation of how to create an assignment and enter in the different settings. If you have additional questions, we have other resources, or you can always come to us for help. Thank you.